Wherever we live in the valley, we call it home. And we're proud to say Tucson is my city. On this edition, My City features Tucson's Ward 4. Ward 4, at over 100 square miles, it's Tucson's largest, where wide open spaces mix with new housing and commercial development. The community here is spread out, but each year it comes together for an increasingly popular event.
Next ticket for the backpacks, 703-429. 703-429. Are you a winner back there? All right. Come on up to the south.
At Ward 4's 6th annual Back to School Bash, everyone's a winner, but the real focus is children. The event grew out of a desire to start an East Side tradition celebrating the end of summer and the beginning of school. Attracting the most attention, a continuous raffle of 400 backpacks.
Next ticket, 704-283. 704-283.
Every child gets a school supply pack. Inside there are notebooks, folders, binders, pens, pencils, and much more. Right now, anticipation is building for the grand prize. 4 children will get new bicycles. Dozens of community volunteers staff the Clements Center event. Many come from Ward 4 neighborhood associations. People like Murph Lyman from Groves Lincoln Park. Murph's husband Michael also donates time and energy, but you won't find him here. Michael Lyman invests thousands of hours here at the Atterbury Bird and Animal Sanctuary in Lincoln Park.
This is a very romantic and spiritual area. On top of that hackberry tree up there is a great horned owl's nest. There were little heads bopping around there before the storm.
Lyman is proud to tour the 1-mile loop through the park. The sanctuary lies along the Atterbury Wash and is one of the few riparian areas and wildlife corridors left inside the city. With the Friends of the Atterbury, Lyman spearheaded the effort to put this habitat under the Wash Ordinance, saving it from future development.
Yes, look at this. That's a total washout. We had 2 trees in there.
Recent rains have taken out newly planted trees and eroded the nature trail. Work to rebuild damaged areas has already begun. Thanks to Ward 4, the Lincoln Groves Neighborhood Association receives $16,700 to clean and maintain the park. The funds, administered by Tucson Youth Development, pay a dedicated group of teens to carry out the work.
We're gonna do this whole area and then all the way up until Mickey's Island. We're gonna put down granite.
Jessica Courtney, the crew supervisor, appreciates her fellow workers.
Well, when I tell them to do something, they'll do it, and they'll do 110% more than what they're supposed to. They'll go off on a limb to like rake something that's not supposed to be raked, but it looks really nice when they're finished.
Steady budget cuts have reduced the number of young people taking part in the program. Lyman understands the city's gone through some hard times over the years.
But now the city physically is getting back into pretty good shape. I'd really like to see them to give us our money back now. And I'd like to hire those 4 more kids, and I'd like to increase their hours, and I'd like to give them at least $6.25 an hour.
Still, Lyman is thankful to all those who make the sanctuary possible. In particular, he credits Ward 4 council member Shirley Scott.
I can't say enough good about that lady and her youth program. Without Ward 4, this would not be.
And there's no doubt the same could be said for Michael Lyman.
I'm doing what I always like to do. I'm maintaining and helping some animals in here to survive within the city limits, and people can come in and enjoy themselves, and that's the pride I get out of it.
Yeah, that's good.
Hold on. Don't go away.
Kids aren't the only ones collecting prizes at the Ward 4 Bash.
A $25 gift certificate to Mama Louisa.
Oh, yeah. Again, 4 tickets to a 2007 Colorado Rockies spring training home game with food goes to...
As far as breakfast, they start with us. We get them geared right here.
Inside the Clements Rec Center, volunteers dished out a huge pancake breakfast. Among the cooks, City Manager Mike Hine and Deputy City Manager Mike Letcher, adding their culinary expertise, Tucson firefighters.
Awesome. I hope you saved all the receipts. I really need them.
We went through 80 dozen eggs last year. This year we went through 145 dozen eggs, about 5 cases of pancake mix, 24 gallons of orange juice. It's just been phenomenal, the response. Every year it just keeps getting bigger and better.
Sowards estimates upwards of 1,800 satisfied appetites.
Oh, I think it's great. I think the community, the turnout has been awesome here. There was lots of information that I got that been meaning to stop or call someplace and just don't have the time, so it's all in one spot.
Staffing one of the information tables was Claire Weeks. Claire is the president of Terra Del Sol, a Ward 4 neighborhood celebrating its 50th anniversary.
When realtors were showing this area, showing the homes, they referred to us as Fertile Valley because there were so many children.
I paid $9,990 when I bought the house, and I got the lot with it.
Years later, Bill Burkle upgraded the kitchen.
We paid $7,000 to put the kitchen in. So each project gets a little smaller, but the price stays about the same as we paid for the house.
When old friends get together, memories naturally begin to pour out.
You could hear the coyotes at night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
These folks have known each other a long time, ever since their Terra Del Sol neighborhood was established back in the late 50s.
Now, at that time, the fire department made, do you remember this, inspection calls?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they were out doing their home inspections, and they stopped the fire truck. Well, my 2-year-old was. His eyes were as big as his head.
In the days when Terra Del Sol was built, not every street got sidewalks like they do today.
But 5 years ago, Back to Basics money from Ward 4 funded significant improvements. Terra Del Sol Park has a new playground. There's a gazebo for community gatherings, and the neighborhood has new sidewalks. With nearby shopping centers, schools, and churches, Terra Del Sol was, and still is, an ideal place to buy a home and raise a family.
And we are working very hard to keep it a good place to live. We have people that patrol the streets at night. We have people that come in as soon as there is graffiti on one of the washes. They go over and paint it over.
Not surprisingly, Terra Del Sol has problems that are typical in many Tucson communities. The neighborhood's Alamo Wash is an impromptu dump site. Today, it's looking good, but that's no accident. Once a month, residents gather to remove trash, discarded items, and furniture.
It's amazing what some people have no pride and will just dump and wait for 6 months till bulky trash pickup. I attribute that to the fault of the city not enforcing keeping that alley clean. I haul for my neighbors. I got an old truck here, an old Chevy truck that's about the only time it gets started up is to make a dump run.
Dick Sertich says absentee landlords foster a lack of pride that can harm the integrity of the neighborhood. 50 years ago, it was a different time, and families were raised with a different set of values.
We had to keep up with the Joneses. We put a pool in the backyard for our son.
This is our family, all 3 boys, in the 1968 snowstorm. That snow stayed in the backyard for 5 days.
And these are our grandchildren, Amy and Travis and Madeline and Forrest. We've had a long tradition of planting African daisies every year, and the neighbors all look forward to it.
Later, when they were old enough to drive, each of the Sertich boys got a Mustang.
When I got them that car, it wasn't exactly in good running order. They had to fix it. When we got all done, all 3 of the boys, none of them ever smashed the car. There was too much work in it. And that was a philosophy I learned from my dad, that when you put a lot of hard work into something, you don't go out and abuse it.
Hey, very good.
With school just around the corner, the Ward 4 Bash is an opportunity to reacquaint children with the rules of the road. Denise Waddy from Tucson Parks and Recreation puts the kids through their paces, emphasizing bike safety and the importance of wearing helmets.
Very good.
tight, huh?
Yeah. Well, I think it's pretty loose. I had it clipped in at home.
School's not the only destination for bicyclists in Ward 4. At the south end of Harrison, a desert preserve aptly named Fantasy Island awaits avid off-roaders.
There's trails out here that anybody can ride, from taking your kids out to stuff that's a little more difficult for the more advanced riders. The faster you ride it, the harder it gets.
Without John Schaus, Fantasy Island might not exist. When the state was preparing to sell the 1,000-acre property to developers, Schaus led the drive to preserve over 200 acres and turn it into an open space park for bicyclists.
When we found out that it was pretty much imminent that they wanted to sell it, a group of about 8 or 9 of us got together and just basically put a website up, rallied the troops, contacted the city council people. Shirley Scott got behind us right away, supporting it.
Today, with 20 miles of bike trails, the park is part of the Houghton Road Area Master Plan and works to provide a buffer zone between Davis-Monthan and future housing projects.
It's fun. I mean, that's all there is to it. It's just twists and turns. It's not boring. And it's an urban trail. You don't have to get in your car and drive half an hour to get to the trail. You can ride from your house to the trail system.
Schaus says Fantasy Island already has a worldwide reputation and hosts nearly 2,000 riders every week.
Hey, there you go.
For the Ward 4 staff, it's time to celebrate. Their long hours of planning and hard work have clearly paid off. The bash is a yearly highlight for Councilmember Shirley Scott. Unfortunately, due to a recent physical injury, her appearance was in doubt. Until now, that is.
Oh, stop.
Thanks to the Tucson Fire Department, Councilmember Scott arrived in style.
Thanks a lot.
What's great about Ward 4 is these people. They're hardworking, they have lots of kids, it's a family place, it's a great place to be, and we are part of the city. The one thing that can really change in the vocabulary when you refer to these people is they're not on the fringe, they're not on the edge, they are part of the family of the city of Tucson every bit as much as everybody else, and they contribute to the revenue stream just like everybody else.
Want some eggs?
As Ward 4's population grows, Scott says the city needs to increase the number of parks and recreation facilities and provide more access to public transportation.
We have the same issues that everybody else does and the same numbers, and we have 100 square miles. There's no other ward that is that big with as few services as we do.
We got a winner. You got it. Way to go, buddy. Woo! Congratulations. Congratulations. There you go. Thanks, man. That's yours. Enjoy your bicycle. Yay!
Yeah, I do like it.
For more information about Tucson City Government, Ward 4, or to find out which ward you live in, log on to tucson12.tv and click on My City.